Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, as well as Mana Traders and Twitch subs and Patreon supporters, just like yourself. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Ruben Bressler.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, it's going. It's been a pretty crazy day so far.
Yep.
Now, if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subs to this channel get access to our NSFW version early. And with that, we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But sub first to get 2 chances to win and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. That is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. That's right. Oh my God. So late last night, I did not see this last night before I went to bed, but I did wake up early, as I'm wont to do, and I saw like a lot of chitter chatter, some big threads going, a lot of tweets about what's happening, what people seeing, what people not seeing, like what are you talking about? I was like, there's this giant leak of Aftermath, of March of the Machine Aftermath. Now, March of the Machine Aftermath comes out about 3-4 weeks from now, something like that. Not too far away, but fairly far away. And is going to be a very odd set of 5-card packs, which is also kind of weird. There's only 50 cards in the set, right? And so here comes a very small YouTube channel, about 2,500 subs on it, of someone who's opening some product. They've said they got some product from a friend of theirs. They got it on the cheap. Here you go. Let's open it. They've never seen these cards before. Isn't this weird? And turns out they then spoil 70+% of the set before we started airing, while we were in our pre-show, for God's sake. The second video, opening another box to spoil even more of the set, has come out. And this is, I've seen a lot of spoilages, all right? I've seen it through Magic Online. This is way back in, like, the Judgment days. We've seen New Phyrexia in the Godbook. We've seen Ixalan picture of the rare sheet. Like, there's been lots of different weird ways that things have crept out in its entirety. But this has to be one of the weirdest.
Yeah, it's a pretty strange one. I'm not sure that I've ever seen just, like, I don't want to say a random content creator, but a small content creator whose channel is not particularly old and doesn't have a particularly large following on any other social media platform, as far as I'm aware, get an entire box, and apparently 2 boxes, of a product early and just open them. And how early is this? This is like
3 weeks,
more than a week, right?
It's like 3 weeks out early, right?
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks before the set comes out. Like, the set comes out like the middle of next month.
Right.
So, to be clear.
So this is...
But Wizards was about to start spoiling, like, big time, I want to say next week.
Right.
Which would make sense and line up.
And I assume that, the upcoming Magic events, the live events...
Oh, yeah, the Magic Con.
Would have had the Magic Con, Minneapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would have had a lot to do with Aftermath.
Right.
So this might take a ton of wind out of the sails of Minneapolis's, like, build-up.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. I'm sure it's a Magic Con, they'll survive, but, some of the luster might be unsheened.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that they claim to have gotten 22 boxes, right? Like, I believe that the understanding is that they got a lot of product on the cheap. It's not surprising. Honestly, the set's closer than I would have expected. So, this stuff is already in the supplier's hands, not necessarily the store's hands. Mm-hmm. So, like, who knows where this happened? They could have been found in a dumpster, or in a trash yard, or you know what I mean? Like, at this point, I feel like it's close enough to where there were a lot of options where this product could have gone missing. I was taking a look at the comments on the video, and a lot of people noting that he says, "Oh, this is so weird. I've never seen these cards. I don't even know if these have been spoiled yet." And, like, everybody's commenting, like, absolute BS. You know exactly what you're doing. You're just, like, hedging your bets so you don't look like a complete butt. Mm-hmm. And then to Ruben's note of, like, kind of being surprised that this is a smaller content creator, I'm the opposite. I think a smaller content creator who has been producing pack opening videos for a very long time and hasn't made a lot of progress in the content creation world, is really the only one that's going to risk this, because from here on out, they're never going to get like a preview card. Wizards is never going to touch this person. Even content creators are going to be upset with this person for ruining their spoilers, right?
Right. Oh yeah, this person is officially radioactive for what it's worth.
Interesting.
Like in terms of Wizards, they'll never ever
So
talk this person.
then it makes
anything.
sense, I guess, that it is that everything you just said makes a lot of sense. So it makes sense that they have no other social media connected to their YouTube channel, and they don't show. I assume they don't show their face in their content if they're a pack opening video.
Not that I've seen.
So that they can try to, garner whatever value they can from whatever this is, but not be radioactive of a human when they go to live events.
Maybe. But also they could have just, when I was first starting streaming, I didn't have Twitter. Like I didn't do any other social media. So it could just be that this person is small enough to where they don't really have those platforms. But for example, if someone was like, hey, I have a box of this and I'm going to give it to you because you're sweet and maybe you can do something cool with it, I would put it in my closet for 3 weeks and pretend it wasn't there, because like I have these platforms and I would not be willing to risk them. And again, I mean, that just sucks for anybody who has spoiler cards or anybody who does anything like that. So, this person is definitely risking a lot to get a viral video, viral in like the magic sphere of 100K. That's like, some solid numbers. That's more than a lot of like profs videos sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, I mean these are these are real numbers. We're already in the six figures at this point. I do apologize for the network interruption we seem to have had recently, but it seems to have passed. But this is a way to burn a bridge, right? This is a way to burn a bridge nice and bright. If that's one thing that comes out of it, I do think there's definitely going to be some questions. I don't know if if Wizards able to get the answers. I don't know if the lawyers are, say it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
who knows?
The thing is that it's been less than 24 hours since this news dropped. They only had since today is Thursday the 20th. They only had since midnight the 19th to react. So it's only been 20 hours, 18 hours. I don't think it's a problem that they haven't reacted yet.
No.
It's a problem per se. It's just, and I'm also going to understand that they're just like kind of stuck in the like, what do we do? Like what?
They're formulating a response.
Yeah.
Surely something will be said on Tuesday.
I think expecting them to have had a response at this point or even tomorrow is unrealistic.
It's unrealistic.
Because they can't make a response until they figure out what they're going to do, and that's going to take several days. Yeah. You got to call the lawyers, you got to do this. Like the idea that they would just log on and be like, "Oh shit, our product is out. I'm just going to fire up the live stream right now and tell you exactly what we're going to do about it." Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, what I'm also learning that, there's been times where Wizards has said things in a sort of vague way, vague tweets, little sort of news updates where they're like, certain product may have gotten out there, but we are still planning on running our previews on so-and-so.
Sure.
They've ran it 8 different ways. It's just...
They might still do that.
And they might still just run out the same show they were expecting to, and there's nothing wrong with that either. One of the things that was actually lost for a set that is all about story, what cards don't have flavor text? The cards and collector boosters. So it's...
Yeah, I guess that's a little odd, but we also knew that ahead of time.
Well, I mean, in terms of like the card makeup, yeah, but what I'm saying is, one of the parts of the experience of seeing a new set or whatever, particularly one like this, is you would want to have those story elements.
Want to have more.
You'd want to read what is going on with this character and why this character is doing that and the other. So, and that's just another weird thing. And so, for me, in terms of what the real issue at this point seems to be, and this is what I noted by just watching the video itself, is that why is there a collector booster of this set? Why is there a collector booster of 15 card packs when you sell 5 card packs? Because the duplicates are a lot. Like, they're a lot. And it's going to affect sales in some form or fashion. And I'm not necessarily sure, rather, that they could have presented the set in a way that wouldn't have had this come back at some point going like, my God, we got a lot of duplicates out of this collector box because there's only 50 cards to go around.
So, to be clear, you've moved on to a second issue, right?
More or less, yeah. Well, beyond the spoiling, now it's the part of what they spoiled is already having an effect in the market because one of the
did we not
takeaways.
know how big the packs were?
We didn't know exactly how the collector booster was going to, like be presented. We knew it was a small set. We knew there were 5-card packs. We had no idea how the collector booster was going to be, the makeup and stuff like that. Now that we've seen a whole box open, you go, my God, they opened like every variant of this card and a bunch of that card and multiples of this other rare. And it's like, that's not really a thing with a normal set, but it is when there's only 50 cards in it.
I mean, is that a problem though, right? Like, so it's a small set, so you collect the set faster and you buy less product, but they put less time into development and printing. Like, I feel like this is just, it's a supplemental set that comes out 2 weeks after a main set comes out. Right. The fact that you're going to be completing that collection much quicker and only needing to buy 1 or 2 boxes makes a ton of sense. Right. I would not want to have to buy all of these same boxes for a normal set if this one just comes out a week and a half later.
Right, and this is where I was noting in the pre-show, this is paper alchemy. For those who've been on Magic Online, or Magic Arena rather, and you've played the alchemy sets, and they come out a couple weeks after the main set, and they're generally kind of silly, and yes, you can play them competitively if you want, but they're, kind of an opt-in thing. Well, this is a paper version. This is just the real-life version.
With a notable difference that the cards in Aftermath will be playable in regular standard.
Right.
It's the alchemy formatting, but it's not the alchemy idea. These can't be altered. These can't be, like, they're just regular standard cards that are just not meant for a limited environment.
Right.
And
that's interesting.
Right, and I get the sales pitch. To me, the sales pitch is this is a supplemental product after the release of the main set, just like they've done on Arena, but now in real life. Can we make what we did on Arena that has been successful, whether people like it or not, has been successful enough that they've kept doing it for like well over a year now to try to implement it in paper, and they've always said this is an experiment. We're just trying it out. What happens? Well, maybe part of what happens is that it's released so close to the previous set that it can just get busted all over the place because
that it gets confused.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, what's probably going to happen is that these cards are, if there's any money in it for standard, well, maybe not for standard just because nobody's playing standard, but for Pioneer and Modern, is that they're going to be worth $1 million because nobody's opening this in the limited environment. So those singles just don't make it out into, into the regular population.
That's a issue.
One of the most weird phenomenons of Magic cards recently is that foil prices can get below non-foil prices, and because there's so much duplication in the collector boosters, I could see non-foil versions of Aftermath cards being worth more than their foil or halo foil, etched foil, whatever super duper foil they've got of it, because the market gets flooded of one and not the other. I guess we'll see.
I still we've brought that up several times. I still stand by the idea that it's because most of the foils are just absolute garbage now and nobody's willing to invest in them. So, like, usually you're going to be buying a card that's unplayable. So why, like, of course
they're also harder to read.
They can be harder to read, and part of it, and this is where, we sell twice as many non-foil as foil because people just want the cheapest version. And so when the foil gets below non-foil, it sells at that point, but sometimes it has to get to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that your data suggests that it's the price that matters the most, not the style.
Correct. People just want the cards that that say the words that they want them to do, the game pieces that do the stuff, and they'll go as low as they need to just to get it. And that's where, and when you go to like live shows, there are cards that we can't list on the website because they're in such bad condition, but they're sleeve playable, right? And we bring a big box of them and all these different cons that we go to, like Magic Con, or we have some Command Fest that we run, and man, we sell plenty of those at wonderful discount prices because people just want the game pieces that do the thing they want. So there's a thing. So we move out of for the first pick here into Gather the Townsfolk. That is thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes for 12% off your next subscription with Mana Traders, and y'all have been, and we certainly appreciate that. And that said, we're going to talk a little bit about March of the Machine. You know that other set that like literally just came out like the other day, and it's like officially coming out officially in a couple days. Okay, so I've been playing what I can in the evenings and on lunch breaks and whatnot. Mentioned my first, my first interactions with the set were pretty negative for me. A lot of losses. And my subsequent interactions have also been pretty negative for me, and I've gotten my butt kicked quite a bit. A lot of 1-3s, 2-3s, 0-3s. I've gotten a 7 winner. I did that, and if you're part of our Patreon, you can be part of our Discord, and we have channels in there where we share stuff like winning decks and things that we have. But what I was noting and kind of conversing with y'all about was, for me, it feels like you need a lot of on-color rares. This is mainly for draft, but you need on-color rares. You need a really good deck. If your deck is not 7 out of 10 or better, good luck. I mean, I've just not seen it. I've seen bad decks. I've seen mediocre decks, and they all perform the same. They always just get smashed. But it's a fun format. You're playing with rocket launchers. The bombs are some of the bombiest I've ever seen. You're swinging, you're slugging. Like, I've seen boards where I'm like, I'm super dead, and then I pull like an Atali, and I'm like, oh, I just got this monster and 2 free spells, and I'm back in the game again. Like, those types of things have happened. I've seen like, oh, you rip a Glissa, and then suddenly everything's different. Like, that happens in this format, but it is swingy.
Pretty swingy.
Like that boat on the carnival, like the swingy.
The fact that there are so many individual cards, because it's a set that has like the all-stars from other sets, similar to a Dominaria United style, means that there's a lot of things you have to play around, or a lot more things you have to play around. The fact that they're all pretty much all creatures this time helps. But there are still things like, Aurelia the War Leader that have effect on the game the turn you play them. It's a very interesting and fun set for me thus far. I felt like when I jumped into it, I felt like I was getting pulled by the riptide of the set and didn't really know what was going on and had no control over my life. Now that I've played it, may have a dozen times or so, I feel like I have some bearings about me. And something that really helped me was drafting decks that were thematically appropriate. For example, the Atraxa colors are really good with the incubator tokens, and you can play upwards of 4 colors in those decks. The red-white aggressive, for lack of a better, Firmiridin deck that plays with equipments and things like that, also quite good. I've had some success with the blue-red Convoke deck. Really fun, interesting gameplay with the battles and the incubator tokens, which add interesting new layers to combat and, things that you're willing to invest time and resources in. I've had a good time with the set.
Okay. I haven't gotten to play a ton. I've only been able to play a few hours each night, so I've done 3 sealeds and 1 draft or something. And I will say, yeah, I mean, it's swingy. There's bombs, there's Praetors and all sorts of things, but that's nothing new. I like the idea that we have a chance to swing, right? A swing implies that you go from one end, you're losing, to you're winning, to you're losing again, to you're winning. However, for the last 2 months, we've gone, who goes 1, 2, 3, you win. That's the game. And that's no fun. I think there are entire rides, pirate ship rides, made about swinging, and that is fun and exciting. So let's swing instead of just see who mulligans to 1, 2, 3 and wins.
Who can drive the Mario Kart the fastest?
Yeah.
I agree. And that's the contrast, right? That's the different experience, and I appreciate that as well. I like how limited magic in one set just feels 1,000% different than limited magic in another set. I also like the fact that this feels like the first set in a very long time, even when they tried, to be a sort of a 3-color set. You can splash colors really easily. You don't die on turn 3 if you didn't 1, 2, 3, on your curve or whatever. You can actually play some of your bigger, more expensive spells, which is also great. And those bigger, expensive spells will just, rock you around the world. We can continue with our carnival ride analogies if we'd like, but it doesn't matter. The point is the game changes in gigantic different ways in this set based on gigantic big cards that you get to swing with. And that's nice.
Which is great.
I like that. It's fun. It's been fun. Again, it's been very, very swingy, but again, that is an experience that you get. And we're day 2 or 3 or whatever here. So not trying to jump to too many conclusions. And I don't want a format to be solved in 2 days anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be, oh, I know exactly how to play that set, 24, 48 hours later. Like, what are we doing at this point? So, yeah, neat set. We'll see. Battles are strange. I never feel like there's often times where I'm like, should I attack the battle? I shouldn't attack the battle. But I was like, but if I do attack the battle and so, and then I can do such and such, you know what I mean? Like, and that's cool. That's a lot of decisions. Very complex in that way.
I like the gameplay of battles because oftentimes when you're deciding whether to attack a planeswalker, it's a lose-lose situation. Mm-hmm. Whereas attacking battles feels much more like a which thing do I prefer as opposed to which thing is mandatory to do. You have a lot more choice with battles, partially because you cast them, but also, if your opponent's at 30, you're going to attack the battle. If your opponent's at 10, you're probably attacking your opponent. But if they're at 20, there's like some good push and pull there of like, do I want the value off the backside of the battle? So I like the gameplay with them.
I mean, it adds another more difficult, like another layer on, battlefield threat assessment, whether you should be the aggressor and so on and so forth. It adds that layer that makes it substantially more difficult to assess where you are in the match and whether you should be attacking or saving for blocks, because that's more important now too. It's not just your life that is the resource. It's the battle's life that is a resource. And it is definitely not going to be an easy one for new players.
Yeah, that I agree with. I appreciate the fact that unlike Planeswalkers, you don't get punished for not attacking the battle. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I didn't deal damage to that, so now it's going to get some weird little incremental thing, or it's going to mess with me, or make a blocker, or whatever, because I didn't go all out to try to kill that thing. Like, no, you can sit out there. I can get cute and clever with it. There's a few instant ways to trigger battles and make big swingy things happen. And that's part of the complexity of there's a whole lot of triggers. And there's been multiple times where I've played a game where I was like, if I just thought, a minute about this interaction plus that interaction together at this time, I could have swung that game around, and that's part of the swinging. So it's fun. All right. So that set is sweet. I'm having a good time with it. Interestingly enough, Magic Online, yes, Magic Online, not Arena, brought up the questions about Commander Leagues, where apparently it's been a very long time since they've had multiplayer Commander Leagues. And how much would you pay to enter? And what would you expect prizes to be winner take all, which I absolutely wouldn't. I don't think anybody wants their casual format to be winner take all, because at that point you're CDH, right?
Well, it's Commander. The Commander events are typically winner take all, aren't they? I don't know. I mean, you're asking the wrong person about Commander Leagues on Magic Online. I don't know that do you have any experience with this?
No.
No, yeah, I just thought it was.
I'm going to defer to the chat section.
Well, let's move on to different axes here. Regardless of what the winner takes all, whatever the winner doesn't take all, I think part of it is that the Magic Online is being more communicative with everyone, and letting them know, like, be a part of the process. What is their feedback? How do they feel about it? They're working on 2-factor authentication, which should have been there 10 years ago, but we'll give them another couple months apparently to finally make that happen.
Well, they took away 2-factor authentication.
It's a new company.
There you go.
I don't think they ever had 2-factor authentication. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Online? I thought they did.
And that was one of its flaws.
It's a new company, and they're starting it right away. I mean...
And again, they also have to keep up with all the releases of the cards, and someone has to program those and put all the stuff together and sell the packages and so on. So that's the whole thing. And yeah,
Twitter removed 2-factor authentication, didn't they?
They did for non-Twitter Blue users.
Well, you can so you still can get 2-factor authentication. It just needs to be done through an authentication app, not through a mobile phone number.
Got it.
And that's because Elon Musk doesn't want to pay for the text messages anymore. So Twitter Blue people can have their phone number attached to their Twitter account, but not non-Twitter Blue people.
Did Twitter Blue still exist?
Yeah, they took away. Today was the day they took all the blue check marks away. And then some people like LeBron and Stephen King were just like, why do we still have a blue check mark? I haven't given him anything.
Yeah.
And it was the two people who were the most vocal about telling him to fuck off that excuse me, not the pre-show.
That-
They were the most vocal about telling them they would not pay for Twitter Blue. And then so to troll them, Musk let them keep it and made it, their account says that they paid for it. And one of the Musk employees said that Musk is paying out of pocket for theirs.
Yeah, Elon's paying for
What?
Stephen King
Yeah.
and LeBron James.
Why do we live in this reality? This is...
I hate it. I really, it kills me and it makes
Reality
me sad.
jumped the shark when the Large Hadron Collider discovered the Higgs boson particle, and then everything after that has been unrealistic.
There you go. So let's move on here to some desperate ravings. I thought it was interesting, worth noting here. Someone had said they listened to last Friday's Drive to Work. This is Mark Rosewater's podcast. And can we know the reason that Gavin is, quote, following you around? And he said, Gavin is writing a book about magic. As part of writing that book, he followed me around for a day. And I think that's super cool. I'm excited to read what Gavin's going to write about magic in the book.
Yeah, we'll see that in 5 years.
But I mean, at least probably a couple. You know, it's got to go through the writing and the editing and the bob and up and who's going to publish it and so on. Moving on here to some splashy damage. Interestingly enough, the Lorcana rules were released over the past couple weeks. The gameplay is kind of neat. The way that you win the game is there's little marks on the right side of the card, and you can send your character on a quest, and you can tap them, and that adds the amount of what those little pips are to like your number, your lore number. And if you get to like 20 or more, you win the game.
Cool.
You can only attack tapped creatures. You attack them directly like Hearthstone. So you have to choose whether to send them on a quest to get those pips to start trying to win the game, or do you engage in combat to try to stop your opponent from doing stuff. So that seems neat. Seems fine. As I have said, and as lots of other people in the industry have said, for a long time now, they did not make what seems to be enough of it. And whatever they were planning on giving to the hobby channel and whatever they were planning on giving to the retail channel is not enough. Shocker. I've only been saying this for a year plus. But yeah, so there's not going to be a lot of Lorcana around. I definitely have heard wind of reprints, so don't buy some on the idea that it's never going to be reprinted. However, if you want to play with some, you should definitely try to get in on that as soon as possible. Keep your nose to the ground, know when pre-orders may or may not go up for stores near you, or coolstuffinc.com, which we're working on soon, because it's hard to put up pre-orders when everything's a question mark. But we're starting to get to brass tacks of what's available, what's not available, what we can pre-sell, we're comfortable, and confident that we can have. It's still going to be one of the biggest releases of the year, even if they don't make enough of it. So yeah, that's just happening. Tapping to go on an adventure sounds familiar, but there's only so many things that you can do with a card, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to attack tapped minions, creatures, characters, I think, is a mechanic from Kaijudo and Duel Masters. So yeah, it's going to be nice to have another card game that has big money backing it that we can play with.
Yeah, I'm excited for Lorcana.
Yeah,
I will be making some Lorcana content.
Nice.
There you go.
I have the recording studio. I feel like I have a leg up on a lot of other content creators that can't do like tabletop games. So right. I will definitely have things to say about Lorcana on the show in a few months. Once I get to get into the cards and see how they work and everything, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think as the idea of a game as it currently exists, and not to mention, remember, this is set 1. It should be very simple. You know what I mean? Go back to Alpha. There were not a lot of named mechanics in that. It was very simple, back forth. My grizzly bear, your grizzly bear, my giant growth, your lightning bolt, so on and so forth. So you want that kind of core basis to be there. Is it fun on its core level? As long as it's fun on the core level, you can improve on that and build on that and make that more interesting. So there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's a 1-of-1. I believe we might have spoken about this at one point or other. But it's a 1-of-1. It is Tyler the Great Warrior. This was a Make-A-Wish wish that was done in 2005. Okay. And while taking the card out of the case they presented it in so we could get it graded, they damaged the card, which is why it's only a 7 near mint out of 10. because of that. But there is only one on the planet. This is a ring.
Sure.
This is the One Ring, One of One for Yu-Gi-Oh! It was put on auction on April 19th. It is currently over $150,000.
Wait.
Great.
Wait.
Is the current
So this
bid.
is a Make-A-Wish?
Yes. They Make-A-Wish
And they're
promo.
auctioning this card off.
Yes, he got this a long time ago. He thought that they thought that it was a terminal disease, but it was not. So he was able to recover.
I thought we were talking about some kid died now, and they were selling his card.
No, he had a battle with cancer. He got over the cancer.
Fortunately.
High five, remission. Let's go. And so now he's like, he wants to do different stuff. He wants to start a family, operate his own business, travel the world a little bit, see his brother in Switzerland, and
Right.
He's going to say,
quote from Tyler is, "I want to part with the card now after so much time. One, because I think the anticipation has really been killing some really avid collectors. I'm not getting any younger. I want to start a family. I want to own and operate my own business and also help my community as well as travel and see my brother in Switzerland."
There you go. So, we're at 150K and it's 8 days to go. So next week should be even more exciting in terms of, and this is a one of one and a very popular, very long standing, very, at this point, generational card game. So we get to see a glimpse of what a one of one can actually go for on the open market.
Now, question, is this playable? Is it a legal card?
It is technically, I think the way Yu-Gi-Oh works, everything is legal, everything's vintage. They just have a crazy ban list where they ban cards outright. They ban some cards you can only run one copy of or two copies of, amongst everything else. Apparently it's a very bad card. You know what I mean? It's very sort of it's very sort of Grizzly Bears of Yu-Gi-Oh.
So it's legal. Yeah. It's just bad.
It's just bad.
So Wizards does the thing where they give those special 15 cards to the teams. You know what I'm talking about? They have a name. I forget what they're called.
Heroes of the Realm.
The Heroes of the Realm cards. They have the specific person's name on them.
Yep.
Apparently, they are legal if it has your name on it and only your name.
Yep.
And I think only 2 or 3 have been sold that we know of. You can't sell it while you're working at Wizards.
Right.
And someone bought one of them for $45,000. That card no longer has that person's name on it, so now neither one of them can use the card. So it was a $45,000 card that was not legal, and it's one of 25 or whatever.
Right.
So I can't imagine this one of one that is legal, albeit not worth playing, but still, I think that makes a difference. It would not surprise me if this is just an astronomical price.
Now, how far would you be willing to go? My question is, would you be willing to get a legal name change to the name that's on the card? If you bought one of those Heroes of the Realms card, the rule is if your name's not on the card, you can't play it. But if I buy,
wasn't those cards
Gavin,
done by they were done by the
changing
department?
my name to Gavin Verhey.
Did they actually have their names on it? I thought they were just by department.
Yes.
Oh my god!
They have their names on it.
They have their names on it.
Wow.
Individually named.
No one's going to change their name. That's ridiculous.
If I bought
buying
it
a
for
$45,000 card is ridiculous.
Somebody's got 150K right now to throw at this one Yu-Gi-Oh card. So better people than I, right? All right. So and definitely wanted to note unfortunate passing of the Emergence TCG. They made the difficult decision to end development of the InterPop games. This is Brian David Marshall's outfit, and I believe they gotten Paulo Vitor and some other big Magic pros to work on this in some capacity, and it looked pretty neat. There was some interesting resource systems that it had going for it, and I know they did a recent push. I know people like Jim Davis had recently done a stream featuring the game, so that's unfortunate, but I always like to see people try new things and hope for better outcomes in the future. So that said, let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, today is April 20th, which is, of course, the drugs number. MTG Arena celebrated by putting all of their cards with the word Blaze in it on sale because 420 Blaze it. So tell me, now that Wizards of the Coast and by connection Hasbro has endorsed it, how are you celebrating the holiday, Ruben?
Well, I'm happy that the enjoyers of the Devil's Lettuce are having a nice day. But I will be staying in the Lord's light and only partaking in the one true enlightenment substance, Phyrexian oil.
Very nice. Nerd Girl?
Well, I'm celebrating my 420 the same way Why do I always lose my place? I'm celebrating my 420 the same way I do every time I celebrate, by playing Burn Until I Pass Out.
Burn.
I have friends that celebrate 420 that way too.
They just burn and they burn and they blaze and they burn and they blaze. And what are we going to do? Look, here in Tennessee, the locals and I share something in common. On 420, we were all about the mono green beatdown. I don't even, what does that mean? I don't know.
Mono green. That's your mono green aggro, if you know what I'm talking about.
Is that they're calling you Hydra? Right. But I'm not sure about Tennessee. Okay, it's fine. Either way,
aren't there a lot of weed farms in Tennessee?
Not really. It's not really legal here.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So it's a little legal. I think it might be maybe illegal. Question mark.
No,
and that ends. I don't know. My state's all messed up.
You got more meth labs in Tennessee?
So many.
There's probably a different drug number for that.
There's all sorts of numbers, let me tell you. And that ends the live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Oh my God, I hate you guys.
Why? What did I do?
See you next week.
Thank you, Ruben.
Hey, legalize it. That's all.
That's right.
It's fine.
Hashtag
there's nothing
legalize it. That's right. Let's go. We go to our final slide here. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, MTG Nerd Girl, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.